Once a year, the steps of the Metropolitan Museum of Art are transformed into a runway unlike any other. It is a moment of spectacle and symbolism, the merging of art, celebrity, and high fashion in a single dazzling night. But in 2025, the Met Gala became something even more profound. Under the theme Superfine, Tailoring Black Style, the evening evolved into a vibrant celebration of heritage, identity, and unapologetic expression. This year, fashion didn't just make a statement, it told a story. At the heart of the event was the rich and often overlooked history of Black sartorial excellence. Inspired by Monica L. Miller's book Slaves to Fashion, the theme paid tribute to centuries of Black menswear, from the dandyism of the 19th century to the swagger of Harlem, Renaissance icons, and the contemporary genius of streetwear innovators. It was about power and presence, grace and detail, and rebellion sewn into every scene. The dress code was deceptively simple, tailored for you. Yet within that prompt was an invitation to delve deep into lineage, identity, and interpretation. Attendees responded with astonishing creativity. Some channeled old-world elegance, others modern masculinity reimagined, and many blurred all traditional lines, blending gender, time, and texture. It wasn't about fashion as performance, it was about fashion as personhood. Taraji P. Henson stunned in a tailored blazer with no trousers, evoking Victorian masculinity styled with a cane, corset, and top hat. Her look, a collaboration between Mons and post-imperial, was both subversive and regal. Zendaya, never one to shy from drama, emerged in sculptural velvet, a nod to Josephine Baker's stage glory, reinterpreted through modern tailoring, a moment of historical glamour reborn on the steps of the Met. Pharrell Williams arrived in Chanel Western couture, complete with cowboy fringe and French tailoring, an ode to both American blackness and European refinement. A$AP Rocky embodied the duality of Harlem and Savile Row, oversized suiting, layered plaids, bejeweled ties. The message was clear: elegance could be expressive, not restrictive. Nicole Kidman, usually associated with classic red carpet femininity, embraced the night's ethos with an ivory jumpsuit lined in vibrant Ankara print, designed by a rising Nigerian star. Rihanna, always the showstopper, turned the carpet into a sanctuary of motherhood and power, her look draped over her pregnant figure, adorned with pearls, fur, and a diamond crucifix. Every element felt symbolic: fertility, faith, and fashion intertwined. LeBron James, announced as an honorary co-chair, withdrew due to injury. Yet his style legacy permeated the evening, reflected in the mix of athletic wear, elevated tailoring, and cultural symbolism seen on the carpet. Behind the curated glamour was a night of raw, joyful humanity. Photographer Poupée Juthrat captured backstage scenes few others see: Alicia Keys whispering with Diana Ross, Stella McCartney planting a kiss on Rihanna's baby bump, and emerging designers dancing quietly in awe of the moment they helped create. This wasn't just a red carpet, it was communion. It was history unfolding in real time. Inside the Met, the magic deepened. The Superfine exhibition, which opened to the public days later, transported guests through time. Mannequins dressed in 19th century coats worn by freedmen stood beside contemporary pieces from Wales Bonner, Oswald, Boateng, and Telfer. A navy blue velvet tuxedo by Dapper Dan stood as a centerpiece streetwear royalty made ceremonial. Each look on display was a conversation, each stitch a story. The exhibition runs through October in the Iris and B. Gerald Cantor Exhibition Hall, but its resonance is already echoing far beyond its walls. It's not just a show. It's a curriculum in culture, a timeline in textiles. The soundtrack to the night? Just as powerful as the visuals. Inside the museum's marbled halls, Usher performed a sensual cabaret-style set that merged soul with futuristic funk. Later, Stevie Wonder, in a surprise appearance, sang as to a crowd holding back tears, his voice gliding through ancient sculptures and modern couture. The music reminded guests that Black creativity does not exist in silos. It flows across disciplines, uniting fashion, sound, and spirit. By the end of the night, one thing became clear. This wasn't just the most stylish Met Gala in years. It was the most meaningful. In an industry long scrutinized for exclusion, the 2025 Gala offered a triumphant counterpoint, a moment that centered Black style not as trend, but as the origin point. These looks didn't chase relevance, they defined it. These guests didn't just dress for the moment, they embodied history. On the steps of the Met, elegance walked. Culture danced. Fashion remembered. Met Gala 2025 wasn't simply about what we wear. It was about how we carry where we've been. The velvet, the pearls, the satin and silk, they weren't just fabric. They were banners, markers of beauty, resilience, and legacy. And as the cameras dimmed and the crowd dispersed into the night, one truth remained. The future of fashion lies in its roots. Tailored to tradition, measured by meaning. Designed for liberation. Once each spring, the iconic steps of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York are transformed into the most revered and scrutinized runway in the world. But this year, the Met Gala became something far more intimate, more intelligent, and infinitely more powerful. The 2025 Gala wasn't merely a high society event. It was a cultural reckoning wrapped in silk and satin. It was a celebration sown from centuries of style and struggle. It was Superfine, Tailoring Black Style. This was not just about fashion, it was about presence. About how black style has long been an act of political resistance, an assertion of dignity, and a vessel of pride. Drawing inspiration from Monica L. Miller's Slaves to Fashion, the Met's theme unearthed the roots of black dandyism and traced its evolution from the 18th century, colonial world to today's red carpets and streetwear revolutions. In this space, clothes were no longer just garments, they were historical texts, social commentaries, and spiritual statements. The night's dress code, tailored for you, invited each guest to engage with their own interpretation of what it means to dress with intention, with memory and with ancestral resonance. Some arrived in sartorial tributes to West African tailoring. Others embraced Harlem's swagger, Caribbean ease, or the avant-garde statements of queer black fashion pioneers. It was both deeply personal and radically communal. Pharrell Williams took the carpet with his usual blend of irreverence and elegance, a Chanel cowboy ensemble that fused black Americana with Parisian luxury. The fringe on his jacket shimmered like chainmail under the camera flashes. His bolo tie sparkled like a jewel from a Jazz Age novel. He wasn't just dressing up, he was offering a chapter in black masculine reinvention. A$AP Rocky's look told a parallel story. Layered oversized tailoring in clashing textures and dark jewel tones. His bejeweled tie glinted like armor. His silhouette refused to be boxed in, a metaphor perhaps for black artistry itself. Too vast, too fluid, too original to be contained by the expected. Zendaya's arrival was pure cinematic fashion. Dressed in a sculpted deep green velvet gown with an impossibly tight bodice and flared architectural hips, she evoked the glamour of Josephine Baker and Grace Jones, with a futuristic edge that felt almost extraterrestrial. Her look was about black women as style originators, as icons, as shapeshifters. Nicole Kidman's appearance offered a quieter yet equally meaningful moment. Her ivory jumpsuit, lined with Ankara wax print on the cuffs, collar, and inner lining, was crafted by a Nigerian-German designer whose work fuses colonial tailoring with Pan-African textiles. For Kidman, a white actress known for classic beauty, the look was a graceful nod, not an appropriation, but an invitation. And Rihanna, always the oracle of the evening. Always the one who understands that fashion is both armor and altar. Pregnant, regal, and gleaming, she wore a gown that draped like silk gospel, adorned with pearls, fur, and a crucifix that glinted like a constellation. With her belly exposed, she was saying, "This body, this life, this lineage, this is divine." Yet perhaps the most remarkable thing about the evening was what happened behind the scenes. The cameras caught only glimpses of the true heartbeat of the event. Inside the museum, in moments away from the flashbulbs, new legends were being born. Nigerian designer Bubu Ogisi adjusted lapels backstage. Haitian-American stylist Marquise Miller helped fasten a ceremonial sash on Lewis Hamilton's shoulder, woven by hand with motifs representing strength, wind, and movement. In one corner, veteran designer Oswald Boateng offered tailoring advice to a young Ghanaian-American intern. In another, British-Jamaican designer Grace Wales Bonner discussed fabric preservation with museum curators. These weren't just designers. They were archivists, historians, philosophers using textiles as language. The night's hosts brought the theme to life with sincerity and charisma. Colman Domingo, ever the embodiment of grace and motion, greeted each guest with the calm authority of a fashion elder. Lewis Hamilton, who has championed black designers throughout his Formula One career, wore a high-collared deconstructed tuxedo adorned with a subtle nod to Caribbean military dress, a nod to colonial resistance. Pharrell and A$AP Rocky, once seen as industry disruptors, stood as seasoned architects of menswear's modern vocabulary. Their presence was more than symbolic. It was strategic, a statement that the future of global luxury must pass through the gate of Black vision. The exhibition itself, Superfine, Tailoring Black Style, opened to the public days later but had already left its mark. Walking through the galleries felt like time travel. Early images of freedmen in Sunday suits stared out from gilded frames, while nearby mannequins wore 21st-century pieces by Telfair, Pierre Moss, and Martine Rose. At the center of the main hall stood a single garment, a 1957 zoot suit once owned by a jazz musician from New Orleans, its cuffs frayed, its shoulders wide, its presence unforgettable. Curators intentionally blurred the lines between formal and informal, luxury and utility, tradition and disruption. A pair of Converse high-tops dipped in gold leaf sat beneath a lace-trimmed frock coat. A Ghanaian agbada sewn from French jacquard shared space with a denim jumpsuit by a queer Brooklyn collective. The result was a visual thesis. The Black style is not linear. It is circular, diasporic, adaptive, and always elegant. The performances matched the emotional resonance of the visuals. Usher performed like a man possessed, his velvet-clad figure gliding across the stage, his voice shifting from falsetto to fire. His set was less a concert and more a choreographed sermon. Each note an offering. Each lyric a reflection of longing, memory, and identity. Then came Stevie Wonder. His surprise set began with silence, a long, sacred pause, before the first chords of Ass rang out across the museum's marbled rotunda. Audience members wept openly. This was not nostalgia, it was acknowledgement of continuity, of community, of creation. In the days that followed, think pieces poured in. Fashion blogs, art critics, and political commentators all asked the same question. Had the Met Gala finally transcended its own hype? The answer was clear. This year the fashion wasn't just beautiful, it was brave. The gala had become a platform for pedagogy. A place where culture was not merely consumed, but interrogated, honored, and reimagined. Where celebrity gave way to legacy. Where "who are you wearing" became "what are you saying?" It is no exaggeration to say that Superfine marked a turning point. No longer could the fashion world claim ignorance of its debt to Black creativity. No longer could it treat inclusion as a trend. This was acknowledgement as architecture, representation as ritual, in every thread, a testimony. In every look, a lineage. In every silhouette, a story retold. And when the night came to a close, when the gowns were unzipped and the bodies loosened, the resonance remained, in museums, in classrooms, on sidewalks and social feeds. In the whispered conversations between stylists and students, designers and dreamers, fashion, after all, doesn't just reflect culture, it constructs it. And Met Gala 2025 didn't just dress the future, it designed it. The Metropolitan Museum of Art steps have long served as a global stage for fashion's most extravagant evening. However, the 2025 Met Gala transcended mere spectacle. It became a profound cultural statement. The theme, Superfine, Tailoring Black Style, was a deliberate homage to the rich tapestry of Black fashion history, intertwining centuries of sartorial evolution with contemporary expressions of identity and resistance. The term Superfine was first introduced by Olaudah Equiano, an enslaved African who purchased his freedom in the 18th century. He spent a significant portion of his earnings on a suit of superfine clothes to celebrate his newfound liberty. This act was not just a personal indulgence, but a powerful statement of autonomy and dignity. The 2025 Met Gala theme drew inspiration from this historical moment, exploring how Black individuals have used fashion as a form of self-expression and resistance throughout history. Black dandyism emerged in the 19th and 20th centuries as a response to societal constraints. It was a movement where Black individuals used clothing and personal style to assert their identity and challenge societal norms. From the zoot suits of the Harlem Renaissance to the contemporary designs of Virgil Abloh and Grace Wales Bonner, Black dandyism has continually evolved, reflecting the dynamic nature of Black culture and its influence on global fashion. The 2025 Met Gala was co-chaired by a distinguished group of individuals who embody the fusion of art, culture, and fashion. Colman Domingo, an actor known for his commanding presence and impeccable style. Lewis Hamilton, a racing legend who has used his platform to champion diversity in fashion. $AP. Rocky and Pharrell Williams, musicians and fashion innovators who have consistently pushed the boundaries of men's fashion. Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, whose leadership has been instrumental in promoting diversity and inclusion in the fashion industry. Their collective influence set the tone for an evening that celebrated Black excellence and creativity. The red carpet was a vivid display of artistry and cultural homage. Taraji P. Henson opted for a pantsless ensemble by Mons X Post-Imperial, blending Victorian masculinity with contemporary flair. She explained that the choice highlighted her hard-earned physique, merging feminine and masculine elements. Zendaya wore a sculptural velvet gown that paid tribute to Josephine Baker's stage glamour, reimagined with modern tailoring. Pharrell Williams presented a Chanel Western look, merging masculine tradition with Parisian refinement. A$AP Rocky combined Harlem's cool with Savile Row precision, featuring layered textures and oversized cuts. Nicole Kidman chose a tailored ivory jumpsuit lined with Ankara print, styled by a Nigerian designer, symbolizing cross-cultural appreciation. Rihanna made a powerful statement with a draped gown celebrating her pregnancy, adorned with pearls, fur, and a diamond crucifix. Opening to the public on May 10, 2025, the Superfine exhibition at the Met delved deep into the fabric of Black identity. Organized into 12 thematic sections, such as ownership, presence, distinction, and heritage, the exhibit showcased garments, paintings, and photographs that traced the evolution of Black dandyism from the 18th century to the present day. Highlights included Frederick Douglass's tailored coat, a symbol of dignity and resistance. Harlem Renaissance zoot suits, representing cultural pride and defiance. Contemporary, designs by Telfer and Wales Bonner, reflecting the ongoing dialogue between tradition and innovation. The exhibition ran until October 26, 2025, offering visitors a comprehensive understanding of the cultural significance of Black fashion. Performances that resonated. The evening's performances were as impactful as the fashion. Usher delivered a sultry performance that felt like a cabaret of the future, blending sensuality with artistic expression. Stevie Wonder, the surprise act of the evening, moved the crowd with Ass, his voice echoing across the museum's halls, bridging generations and genres. These performances underscored the theme of the evening, celebrating the soulful roots and rhythmic power of Black creativity. Cultural impact, a turning point. The 2025 Met Gala was more than a fashion event. It was a cultural milestone. In an industry often criticized for exclusion, Superfine offered a counter-narrative one stitched in resistance, pride, and innovation. It highlighted that Black style is not a trend, but the origin, the influence, and the engine of global fashion. Legacy and reflection. As the evening concluded, the impact of the Met Gala 2025 lingered. It sparked conversations about representation, identity, and the power of fashion as a form of expression. The event served as a reminder that style isn't just about what you wear. It's about how you carry history, heritage, and culture. Beyond the red carpet and exhibition halls, the reverberations of Met Gala 2025 could be felt globally, from Parisian ateliers to streetwear collectives in Lagos and barbershops in Harlem. Designers of all backgrounds began to reflect more intentionally on their use of tailoring, heritage motifs, and the politics of silhouette. For emerging Black creatives, Superfine offered not only validation but an expanded vocabulary. They saw themselves not just included, but centered. The gala's theme gave them historical context, a lineage to belong to, and a stage on which to imagine a more expansive future for fashion, one that holds space for multiple identities, rooted aesthetics, and radical storytelling. In educational institutions and fashion programs around the world, professors began using the Superfine exhibit as curriculum. Student critiques became richer, interrogating not only material and technique, but also colonial history, diaspora aesthetics, and the semiotics of self-presentation. Fashion schools invited guest lecturers from the Met, activists, and curators to speak about the importance of narrative in garment making. Conversations emerged around how dress codes in professional spaces, once considered neutral, are in fact deeply racialized. Superfine didn't just change a season's style. It reshaped what it meant to design, to dress, and to define beauty in the 21st century. Looking forward, the legacy of Met Gala 2025 will rest on how it shifted the expectations for fashion's biggest night. No longer is spectacle alone sufficient. The world now expects substance. The success of Superfine proves that cultural specificity can translate into universal resonance. By centering Black style not as an influence but as the origin, the gala redefined the canon of luxury and elegance. The bar has been raised, not just in terms of design but in thoughtfulness, responsibility, and truth-telling. In a time of rapid cultural shifts, the most profound garments are those that remember and remind us who we are, where we come from, and where we have yet to go.